The 750cc standings then, after what was a terrifically exciting, although disappointing race for Terry Rymer, dropping him 1 point behind the new championship leader, Brian Morrison, John Reynolds, Dunlop, McElnea and Jamie Whitham. The front row lineup will be as it was for leg one. In pole position, Rob McElnea, of course, who had a terrific ride in that one, coming home in 4th place, but was a little bit outpaced by the Kawasaki's and, of course, the Norton. So Rob McElnea again on pole position, and the weather conditions here have improved enormously, so we're looking maybe for the lap record to go. Alongside him, the winner of that race, after that hectic collision with Terry Rymer, John Reynolds, number 3. So Reynolds, the second fastest qualifier, could almost clinch the title here this afternoon. I haven't quite done my maths, so I'll check on that one a bit deeper into the race. Let's see how Reynolds...
What happened, you can see Rymer leading on the black machine, going inside Tom Knight, a slower rider. He's coming up to lap him, collides with him, almost staying on the track, but unfortunately Knight takes avoiding action down the slip road. Rymer goes onto the grass, as you see, leaving Reynolds to go on to win the race. But Rymer, at this stage, we thought maybe he was going to get things under control, return to the track and maybe get 2nd or 3rd, but then things got a little bit too much for him. You see that he's trying to get grip. It's a rear slick on the back of that machine. There's no grip, and unfortunately down goes Terry. So disappointing for him. He runs over, he's thinking about picking the bike up, then that is the reality.
Reminding you then, across the front row, Rob McElnea on pole, John Reynolds, Mark Farmer, who's got the Roton sorted, Terry Rymer and Brian Morrison on the other Kawasaki. Yamaha, Kawasaki, Roton, Norton and Kawasaki. A right mixture of machinery, I have to say. And lurking on the second row, the Suzuki of Jamie Whitham, who also had a very good start. 14 laps ahead of them then, and it was Morrison, number 6, who took the whole shot into Old Hall Corner, followed by Terry Rymer. So Kawasaki, not the Kawasaki we expected to see in front, but it's Morrison. Rymer, though, this time, goes straight into the lead to make amends for that. Oh, and Rob McElnea squeezing through, forcing Brian Morrison wide. So the Yamaha-mounted McElnea has set off in pursuit of Terry Rymer. Well, the Kawasaki men caught napping again.
Yeah, the Roton made a very good start. Mark Farmer's currently in 4th place, so Rob McElnea takes the lead. Rob's very aggressive, as he won't be too happy with Terry Rymer from that earlier manoeuvre that Rymer made on him in the first leg. But so it's Rob Mac leading from Rymer. Reynolds is sitting nicely there in 3rd. The Roton 4th. Robert Dunlop 5th. Morrison 6th. Whitham 7th. So that's how they stand. It'll take a couple of laps to sort things out, but it looks like Rob McElnea's really going for it.
Well, for those of you who don't understand anything about engine configurations, there are 3 rotary engine bikes in the top 6, and they have things that spin round and round rather than things that go up and down in the shape of pistons. If that's the best way I can explain it, then that'll have to do, I think. But it's a rotary in 2nd place. It's a conventional 750cc 4-cylinder Yamaha in the hands of Rob McElnea out in front. The number 1 bike, last year's championship winner, who rode very well into 4th in race 1, but the 2 Nortons now up into 2nd and 3rd. John Reynolds is fighting back hard. He knows what he's got to do, and he'd like to put this championship out of reach of anyone else if he possibly can before they get to Brands Hatch. But Rob McElnea has been waking up, I think it's fair to say, as the season has progressed, and he's really coming good now. So big Rob McElnea out in the lead, 3 or 4 bike lengths. Terry Rymer still there with Robert Dunlop, who had his first national short circuit win on the rotary bike at Cadwell last weekend. Absolutely delighted with that. So Robert Dunlop showing that he can ride the big bike, not just on the true road circuits such as the Ulster Grand Prix, the Northwest 200 and the Isle of Man TT, but can also adapt his diminutive figure and his riding style to the short circuits as well. And he is now going very well indeed, along with teammate Terry Rymer. And the Kawasaki of Reynolds is now up to 4th. Number 3 then, John Reynolds, up to 4th. Mark Farmer, number 46, on the Roton. We're now riding with Reynolds in 4th place. Ahead of us, the 2 Nortons, and they certainly are quick.
This is the problem, that Reynolds and the conventional four-cylinder machines face with the rotaries, they pull away down the straights, and then they're very difficult to get past in the corners. You'll see Reynolds close, I'm sure, as we approach Lodge Corner. There you see he's catching up. There is Reynolds, bike number 3. But on-bike camera giving us fantastic pictures there of what's happening in front. But Reynolds has got it all to do. I've got to say that it's not easy to pass these Nortons.
Well, they're in line astern, but Mark Farmer now in 5th place on the Roton, the number 46 rider, is beginning to put just a little bit of pressure on. In fact, there's nothing to separate the top 8, and Jamie Whitham, number 5, going through on the inside of Brian Morrison, and Whitham it is. Look at Whitham on the Suzuki number 5 now, on the back end of the number 46 Roton of Mark Farmer. So the Ulsterman being chased. Here we are now with the Suzuki of Whitham, and ahead of us the number 46 Roton, and Whitham is going in. He's a demon on the brakes into the Shell Oil's banked hairpin, out and now up through the gearbox, dropping down towards the left chicane of Fulstons, and Whitham now up to 6th place. And I think we're going to be treated to a fairly spectacular shot of Jamie Whitham going past the Roton. We're right in the slipstream. We're 150 miles an hour at this point. But the Roton was good on the brakes, or maybe that was by accident, because they don't stop very well, do they?
Isn't it fantastic to see the machines leaning over, the rider's knees going onto the road, which is acting as a device to actually prop the machine up should the back end break away and slide a little bit, a gauge for the rider to feel exactly what's happening. And absolutely incredible. I noticed Reynolds had got ahead of Robert Dunlop, so that putting Reynolds, we can see there, in front of Robert Dunlop. So a sandwich between the two Nortons. Farmer's Roton then didn't appear too much quicker than Whitham Suzuki, although in that shot there it did.
All credit to Brian Crichton, though. The Roton really does handle it. Looked very, very stable indeed. Having said that, it gave a mighty shake of the head just as I spoke, and I think I'd better stop saying things like that. Rob McElnea, though, with Terry Rymer and then John Reynolds. And Reynolds is closing on the back of Terry Rymer. They've been in this position before, and we're with Reynolds now, 3rd place, going for 2nd. And have we got it? Yes, we have. John Reynolds, number 3, then, up to 2nd place. But where's the black shape of Terry Rymer? He's been left behind on the left-hand side. Ahead of us, the race leader, number 1, Rob McElnea. That Yamaha, very quick, and that amazes me, because I would have thought the Kawasaki is certainly the quickest motorcycle out there, but it doesn't appear to be the case.
Rob Mack was the pole position man. I think in the first leg he got pushed back a little bit by Terry Rymer, that overtaking manoeuvre, which Terry was committed. There's no blame on Terry's part for that, but Rob's trying to make amends in this. He's gone out, tried to lead it from the front, which is probably what Rob does best. Reynolds is now tracking him down inch by inch, corner by corner, getting closer, and I feel it's a matter of time before Reynolds actually makes his move on McElnea.
I'm looking at the Roton number 46, Mark Farmer, who's definitely got 2nd wind. He's back past Jamie Whitham. There we are then, the Crawley-based Ulsterman on the Roton, who has really clicked with that bike and has galloped to 2 3rd places, really putting it across the factory teams in no uncertain manner this season, is now putting the factory Norton of Robert Dunlop under some enormous pressure. Number 20 then Dunlop. This is Mark Farmer. But Whitham again hasn't given up. 2 lengths between Whitham and Mark Farmer, so a seesaw battle. And on the tail end of that is the championship leader, as going for the front, Reynolds on the inside of Rob McElnea. Number 3, John Reynolds, takes the lead from Rob McElnea into this tight right-hander, heeling it over. McElnea won't give up, though. He's very determined, the 31-year-old Humbersider, carrying the number 1 plate from his championship success last year, won't want to relinquish it that easily, even though it's becoming a bit of a fait accompli as far as John Reynolds is concerned, but he could well go to Brands Hatch.
This, you see, Reynolds has actually lent on the outside and coming through. Look, the speed there was quite phenomenal of Reynolds' Kawasaki compared to McElnea's Yamaha. That was the overtaking movement that's put this man, number 3, John Reynolds, into the lead as they go through Druids. But as you said, McElnea won't give up.
Neither will Terry Rymer, number 23, in third place, and they're staying much more bunched up than I thought they would have done. I thought maybe this race would have got just a little bit spread out, but into Deer Leap again, cresting the top when the front goes very light indeed. Over the line they go towards the right-hander of Old Hall, third or fourth gear, 90 miles an hour round here. Down the avenue, heads down, tucking in behind the perspex. Whitham, number 5, is again past the number 46 Roton. So Jamie Whitham has got the two Nortons ahead of him again, but this now a three-way scrap for the lead. Reynolds from McElnea, Rymer, Dunlop, Whitham and Farmer. Those are the top 6. The 3 rotary engine bikes again proving to be more than a match for the conventional engined Japanese machinery. McElnea then closing, hunting on the tail end of John Reynolds, not letting the Nottingham man get away that easily. These two have the utmost respect for each other, having ridden at this sort of level and in this close proximity right through the season. Jamie Whitham again, the Farmer Roton is ahead of him, so number 46 Mark Farmer has gone in front of Jamie Whitham, and it's unbelievably, blindingly quick. When he winds the throttle back, the bike just bullets away from Jamie Whitham's Suzuki, and Jamie Whitham from Huddersfield has to do it all on the brakes and just watch as he goes into Lodge. It'll be the brakes Druids here, hard round now up towards Lodge will be the next hard right-hander, and Whitham goes in there very, very quick indeed. He'll be looking for the inside line. In fact, Farmer's every bit as quick, because ahead of him is Dunlop. Astonishing pictures, Roger.
You could see from those pictures the contours of Oulton Park make it very difficult for the riders to see what's coming up. There's hills, there's blind corners, so that's what makes it so interesting. Back to the action at the front though, with Reynolds, Rob McElnea not being shaken off, and Rymer sitting pretty there, watching the action in front of him. Reynolds takes a glance over his shoulder. His pit board would have told him that Rob McElnea was plus 0 seconds behind him, but he wanted to have a look for himself there, and maybe he'll try and wind up the wick a little bit now and try and make a break.
Well, the point you made about the circuit being so undulating as to make the riders not be able to see half the track was underlined by John Reynolds, who says at the top of Clay Hill he actually lines his bike up with 3 trees, points it for the middle tree, and he knows that when he crests the brow of the hill he will be somewhere on or very close to the racing line. Number 6 Brian Morrison has got past Jamie Whitham, and Jamie Whitham now has got all this slop, and it's a lot of traffic ahead of him. The tail end of Brian Morrison, then it's Mark Farmer, and vanishing away into the distance is the black Norton of Robert Dunlop, and Jamie Whitham seems to be slipping just a little bit off the pace. Could be problems?
Could be problems. Could have overcooked the brakes, could have overcooked the tyres, or just maybe a lapse of concentration. You see him closing so tightly up on the brakes there. Fantastic stuff. Brian Morrison, the bike in front of him. Morrison very slow exiting from there. Maybe Morrison's the man that's got the problem.
Whitham got very close then to Brian Morrison, number 6, and round the right-hander of Old Hall, away down the avenue again. Just a little right kink. The positions at the top of the race unchanged. Reynolds still out there from McElnea and Terry Rymer, but this the battle then for the lower order. Farmer, Morrison and Whitham, and we're riding with number 5 Jamie Whitham now.
Don't you think it's incredible that a rider can ride so close to each other at 150, 160 miles an hour? This is the slowest corner on the track, probably only 50 miles an hour, but some of the faster points on the track, literally feet from another person that's doing a similar speed. And Whitham tries to go into the chicane there and pass Morrison without the best of results, but Morrison now appears to be just holding up Whitham a little bit. The Kawasaki stretching away a little bit now as we go down to Knickerbrook. This is the fastest corner on the racetrack, 150 miles an hour through there, down 1 gear, and then up through under the Dunlop Bridge through up to Druids. And this is at Druids corner with with Reynolds. Rymer's got through to second. That's what confused me there slightly. McElnea down to third, so we could be in for a Rymer-Reynolds battle again.
Second win for number 23 Terry Rymer, up to second as Roger said, then John Reynolds number 3 the race leader, and that freight train charging on behind. So McElnea, #1 on the bike, #3 in the race. Won't be too happy with that. 4th the last time out, wants to improve on that by more than 1 place, I would have thought. Reynolds, though, looking for a double win, and that will put his tally of wins on to 7. Unbelievably consistent John Reynolds, and he's got 50 metres now ahead of Terry Rymer, whose Norton, of course, is very fast in a straight line, and Terry seems to ride it with an equal amount of ability around the bends. It certainly is good. He's got used to the running on problems. You see the rotary engine does not stop as readily in terms of engine braking as the conventional piston engine variety, so it does demand a whole new technique for riding it fast, and Terry Rymer has adapted to that admirably. That's the gap then, under a second, and it's visual. I don't need to tell you what the time is because you can see just how close Terry Rymer is, but John Reynolds appears to have everything under control. McElnea still hanging on in 3rd, and there's the gap for the rest of the field. It's Dunlop leading Farmer from Morrison and Whitham, and there's a 4-way scrap going on further down the order.
Reynolds looking as cool as ever. 22 national wins now to his credit over the British Championship season to date. Looking for win number 23 with this race, but Rymer out to stop that, and looking at the monitor of lap times from that lap, Rymer put in a slightly quicker lap than Reynolds, although the gap appears to have stayed roughly about the same.
There has to be a limit, I suppose, to the degree to which these riders can lay the machines down, but Terry Rymer there at the Norton at an unbelievable angle. This is the Suzuki of Jamie Whitham. Ahead of us, Robert Dunlop, and that means Mark Farmer on the Roton has gone up into 4th place. So there is Mark Farmer in the red leathers. He's in 4th. Now Whitham has got second wind as well, got the bit between his teeth, because that means that we can really elevate the job forward, thinks James. I've got the Suzuki on the boil. If I can only dive inside at the chicane, and oh, that was close. Had a good look at the inside of Robert Dunlop's Norton there, and we're right on the tail end with Jamie Whitham. Up through the gearbox here, over the brow of the hill, and charging down towards Knickerbrook, 150 miles an hour into the right-hander. And Morrison has gone past as well. He saw the opportunity. Jamie Whitham left the door wide open. Through on the right-hand side went #6, Brian Morrison. And this is incredible stuff. Whitham really riding the pants off the Suzuki here. He goes as hard as he can. Being passed by Morrison, slipping past, having a go at the rotary Norton, weaving, dodging in and out, up the inside on the brakes. And Whitham having gone past again, and these two are no strangers, of course. And this reminds me of the Supercup battles between Whitham and Morrison some 4 years ago when we first started this series, when Jamie was only 21, a wild youngster. He's now a bit older, but he's still every bit as wild.
This is Jamie Whitham's strength, is his braking ability. Probably for the most of the year, the Suzuki that Mick Grant is developing is in its early stages. It is getting better as the year goes on, and James is getting the best out of it, one would have to say. But when it comes to the braking area, he's outstanding, and if he could get close enough to Robert Dunlop in front of him and to Mark Farmer, I'm sure that he would be able to pass them braking.
This the battle for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, and Whitham almost on the grass. There wasn't anywhere else to go. He was using all the track and another foot as well, I think, to the left of the circuit there. But he's right with Robert Dunlop, and the Suzuki's trying to throw him off at every opportunity. Really is shaking his head, but he's keeping the throttle nailed back. But Morrison has gone ahead. I think that last twitch unsettled James Whitham just a fraction. It looked a bit naughty from where we were sitting, and I think it was probably a lot more uncomfortable on the motorcycle. Farmer then still ahead of Robert Dunlop, so a great ride by Mark Farmer, 4th place. I don't think there's anything he can do to improve on that. We just saw a flash of the 3rd place man, Rob McElnea, disappearing out of your picture. But Farmer now, if he can just shake off this bunch and get away, he might have a chance of closing in onto 3rd. but there is quite a gap. Farmer leads Dunlop, Morrison number 6, and Jamie Whitham having another look again on the brakes. Morrison goes through on the inside of Dunlop. Oh, Roger, this is great stuff. It's a pity it's not the race for the lead.
And Dunlop's fighting back, but Morrison held him off there, down, through into Cascades. There you see we're on bike with Jamie Whitham and the Norton in front of Robert Dunlop. The back end squirming as Dunlop puts the power on, and then off it goes as a missile, but Whitham will soon close up on that because we go round Island Bend, then to the Shell Oils hairpin, and that's where Whitham can catch on the brakes, as you see. If only Whitham could get past Robert Dunlop, I do feel that he would be able to probably go with the Roton and with Brian Morrison. You can see those two in the distance at the chicane, and this is where Whitham's exceptionally good, but you almost feel frustrated for him that he can't actually get by, because all the time he's wanting to, and he's been held up in places where he could increase his lap time.
Number 20, Robert Dunlop, multiple TT winner, and had to settle for second place in the 125 TT this year to his elder brother Joey, very much a veteran, but that was a tremendous result, moving his brother on to a record number of TT wins. That apart, however, Jamie Whitham doing everything he knows to get the Suzuki past the Norton, but not so, said Robert Dunlop. And meanwhile, Brian Morrison, number 6, having a look at the inside of Mark Farmer on the Roton, number 46, and the Roton going a little bit wide through the bottom of Dearly, over the line again they go. The Roton screaming its way around here, proving that it's a match, certainly a match for the rest of the top British teams. And Japanese teams come to that. Farmer then on this Brian Crichton built and developed as Jamie Whitham's back end locked up. Another shake of the head by the Suzuki, and he's going on the outside of Dunlop, but no way. There was nowhere for him to go. The Ulsterman moved over just a fraction down towards Island Bend, sweeping round here, and then the hairpin. Here we go, on the inside. Is there room? No, it's a bit close, but maybe a dash down to Fulston's, and he'll go for the left, I'm sure. Dunlop will be just a little bit too wise, I suspect, and will close the door, but this is where Whitham, no way through. And again, I think, Roger, we're going to see the superior speed of the Norton pull away from the Suzuki up the hill, and the power to weight ratio, bearing in mind Robert Dunlop's size, has to be a factor.
Rymer's looking for, Morrison's looking for the inside from Farmer and takes it in a breathtaking manoeuvre there, 140 miles an hour into Knickerbrook. So that's put Morrison now up into 4th place ahead of Farmer. Morrison, of course, needs to get this 4th place, because the championship going into the last round at Brands Hatch will all be about Brian Morrison and John Reynolds as two teammates dicing it out for the lead, but it's now Morrison that's got that secure 4th spot.
Has Mark Farmer got anything left by way of a reply, I wonder, to Brian Morrison? So the number 46 Roton then relegated now to 5th. This, however, on the last lap, the battle for the lead, with John Reynolds, number 3, still heading Terry Rymer, who I think, it's fair to say, will have no chance of pulling in that deficit. There's too much of a gap now. The Kawasaki of Reynolds very quick, although Rymer's putting in a charge on the last lap, but I think he might have left it too late. Would have dearly loved, I'm sure, to have made up in some way towards that misfortune in the first leg, when he had it all taken away from him in the last half lap because of the tail enders and a rash judgment, I think, an error made in the heat of the moment. Which side do I go? And he chose the wrong side. Maybe a touch of impatience as well, but that's racing, that's what it's all about. Reynolds then, I think, heading to what looks like a double win here at Oulton Park, and will move him into a very strong position going into Brands, as will his teammate Brian Morrison be. 2 weeks' time, the final round from Brands Hatch, and that will bring our National Motorcycle Racing Series to a close here on Grandstand. But the checkered flag now being readied. Reynolds over the line, Terry Rymer 2nd, McElnea comes over in 3rd, but John Reynolds thinks, quite rightly so, that he's done enough. Maybe a good day's work here at Oulton, could be on target for his first 750cc championship here on television, having already, though, clinched an alternative championship in the UK just last week. So, very much the man in form. A good win for John Reynolds, number 3. Now, confirmation of the top 6. There you have it. Reynolds from Rymer, McElnea, Morrison, Mark Farmer, and Robert Dunlop. So 3 rotaries in the top 6.